So I want to get into a little bit. I have some interesting stories. There's a sheriff here in Oklahoma that went up to D.C., and I want to play a clip that he did. He did a press conference today. He shared some interesting information about his trip to D.C. He's being criticized by a lot of people here in Oklahoma. A lot of people are calling for his job, want him to resign, which I think is crazy. But if you watch on the screen, here is some footage from Wednesday of all these Trump supporters here in Oklahoma. And I didn't even know that they were going to do this, or I would have went. And I don't live near Oklahoma City, but I would drive up there. But this is pretty cool. But I want to look at the aerial footage again. Look at that. I posted it. If you go to KOCO5 News, you can watch the whole thing. But when I Googled this, a lot of people were showing up at their state capitol on Wednesday. Just because a lot of people didn't go to D.C. didn't mean that they didn't show up for Trump, which is pretty cool. Look at that. That is absolutely crazy. Is there more footage here? Yeah, they had a band. They had a band from what I heard and a couple of speakers, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna play some clips, some news clips. I'm gonna insert it here. You can check it out, and then I want to go into this sheriff guy. So here it is.
Oklahomans gathered peacefully at our state capitol today in support of President Trump.
We have more team coverage for you, including reaction from Oklahoma Democrats on what's been happening today. But we begin with News on 6's Emory Bryan, who is in Oklahoma City. Emory?
Well, the rally here was passionate but peaceful. It ended when a light rain started falling today, and it was just before the events unfolded at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. The Republican Party from several counties, along with several smaller groups like Tulsa's 912 Project, organized it, timed around the Senate actions in D.C. Speakers here focused on the election, calling Joe Biden an illegitimate president-elect, claiming several states had illegal and fraudulent elections, claiming Biden would take away their guns. Several people had guns and wearing body armor, but most just carried Trump flags. This was in a state that widely supports President Trump, people who describe themselves as some of his strongest supporters, willing to fight to keep him in office.
And our founding fathers gave us a constitution for a reason, just for this very reason that we're here today. This is our 1776, and we have to defend this right, because if America goes, there's no more. We won't have it anymore.
Country, including our own in Oklahoma. News 4's Austin Brissett also live at the Capitol tonight with reaction from city and state leaders watching this chaos from afar, and the local protesters who showed up too. Austin.
Yeah, that's right, Jolene. This parking lot is empty here as of right now, but earlier this afternoon, hundreds of Trump supporters made their way down right here to the state capitol, all of them donning their Trump flags, all while the chaos was raging on in Washington, and state and local leaders reacted right here from home.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
Protests at the Oklahoma State Capitol, far from what took place in Washington Wednesday afternoon.
We wanted to support President Trump and, the right to free and fair elections and stop the steal.
Ashley Hunt driving all the way from Bartlesville to join in.
Let our elected representatives know that we want a fair and free election.
Hundreds of others came too, jumping in their vehicles, driving peaceful laps around the Capitol area as the rain came down, their flags flying high. As the chaos unfolded simultaneously in Washington, some like Ashley pointing the finger, while others like Trump supporter Ken Holland say it was bound to happen.
It's probably not Trump supporters.
Yeah.
It's probably Antifa or some other faction.
I'm not surprised. People are tired of it. They're fed up with it.
Several state and local leaders chiming in as well, including Republican Representative John Echols.
No one has the right to storm our Capitol under any circumstances. It is always wrong and it is never okay.
Meanwhile, Governor Stitt taking to Twitter, calling the situation unacceptable and saying that it, quote, needs to stop immediately, adding that while he supports peaceful demonstration, quote, we cannot stand for violence. Republican Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt adding, quote, the ongoing attempted overthrow of our government will fail, but only because those who are standing for truth. Back at the state capitol, other Trump supporters agreeing.
No, never anything that isn't peaceful.
We do not support no violence at all.
No.
So Sheriff West, Chris West, said that he did not see any violence at the Capitol building, and he just went as a supporter. So a lot of people are mad at him. because he's a sheriff, and they thought that he went up there on the taxpayers' dollars, or he just went as a supporter of Trump, and he just went as a citizen, and he supported Trump. So that's good. But I want to play this. I want to end the show. It's a 26-minute long deal, and he shares some of the stuff that he saw. And the last 10 minutes of this 26-minute long video is the news media here in Oklahoma hounding this guy because he supports Trump, and he went up there, and it's just ridiculous. It's just crazy. So, anyway, so this guy is from Canadian County, which is like outside of Oklahoma City. El Reno, it's like 40 minutes outside of Oklahoma City. So, anyway, also wanted to remind you that I got this new website, ok76media.com. And like I said earlier, you can turn it into an app if you go to the web browser and just say add to your home screen. There should be like an arrow in the middle of your Safari. I don't know how it works on Android, but it's also iPad friendly. I made the mistake of like designing it in a weird way. But I checked it out on my iPad. It works good on the iPad. So I just had to change a couple things. And so I also added, there's, my channel, David's channel from Two Classy Gentlemen podcast. He's going to start uploading over here. And also it's a new channel, New Music Friday, where I cover, every Monday, I'll take a break from politics and review new music that comes out the Friday before. So, and I couldn't get approved for Google Ads, or I'm still waiting on it, but I just have a feeling like it's going to be denied. But I want this platform to be free. I don't want to have to charge for it. But it's either going to have to be this or have a platform, or have a charge per month or something like that. So I'm going to try it like this. If you want to support the website and all that kind of stuff, you can head over to okiepatriot76.com. Pick yourself some coffee. We have some mugs. This awesome mug right here, pretty cool. Make coffee great again. All that kind of stuff. You can go check that out. And so the website for the podcast, I'm going to upload this podcast when it's done there, and you can check back all of my podcasts, my video podcasts that I did since the end of December. And you can also listen to my new album, and you can also listen to the podcast here from the RSS feed. So you will have to sign up with an email to watch all the videos, but it's free. So anyway, here is the clip from Chris West. Hope you have a great night, and thank you so much for watching.
Crazy talk, disinformation, people concerned that I guess there's posts out on Twitter and places that they're saying that I'm a terrorist. And I'm only addressing you as the sheriff because this is all being talked about in that capacity as me being the sheriff. So I went to Washington, D.C. this week. I went as a citizen, as Chris West, the individual. I'm a Trump supporter. I don't think that there's any surprise about that. I think people are very aware of it. I'm pretty outspoken. I think it's really important for me to say that the way that I execute my duties as the sheriff is totally separate and apart from my personal politics as an individual. I would never let any partisan politics interfere in my obligated and duty to the public or any of my employees. There's no partisanship. We don't take telephone calls and say, what party are you, or what's your race, religion, color, what are your political beliefs. We don't do that. You call and we're coming. As far as the individuals that I believe are slandering me, they have First Amendment rights. I mean, it's no secret that there are people that don't support me because they know my personal politics, because I put it out there. I want to say this. I started receiving telephone calls, text messages, and emails several days ago while I was in Washington, D.C., wanting to know if I was there. I did not answer those because my wife supported me going to Washington, D.C., but she asked me not to make that public for her safety. And I'm concerned even right now making this public statement that me and my wife and my family could be doxxed. And so that was my main concern. I went as a private citizen. So I did not return any telephone calls, including Ray Dyers, the editor of our local newspaper here in El Reno. Ray was the very first one for me to call because I'm the sheriff in this county. He's here in the county seat. So I reached out to Ray this morning. He was the first one. And then I said, I'm going to have a news conference because we've got to debunk this. It's ridiculousness. Okay. So I brought a couple of photos that I'll show you here in a minute. But what I want to say is this. I think it's what happened at the nation's capital, the crimes that were committed, the egregious crimes on our beacon and bastion of last hope for our nation, breaking into that and terrorizing it, that's horrible. The fact that people died at the fact that law enforcement officers were assaulted on our nation's capital, that our congressional members and other people in our government were in fear for their life. I rebuke all of that, every bit of it. I vehemently rebuke it. This last summer when there were demonstrations over in Oklahoma City, we went over there to watch those. So I saw the activities, whether you want to call it a riot or a protest or whatever. I didn't see that in Washington, D.C. personally, okay? And the reason I wanted to go to D.C. is because I wanted to know firsthand, Chris West, private citizen, what happened instead of just hearing about it on the mainstream media. And now that all those horrific things happened, that is taking front and center. And so I know, because I was there, about all the wonderful hundreds of thousands of people that came from all across the country, of every race, Asians, African Americans, Latinos, whites of every age, all different religions, Native Americans that had ceremonial drums that were out for the rally at Liberty Square, singing and beating their drums and having spiritual, activities. Americans that love freedom. I understand that there's a divided nation. We have divisions. There are people that have different politics. But first of all, we're all Americans. We have to have peaceful transitions of power. We have to support our government. We're all Americans. We're all in this together. But again, like I said, I wanted to go there so that I could see firsthand what all the crimes that occurred. I'm not even going to speak on those because I don't know about them. And it would be inappropriate for me now, in standing in front of you as a sheriff, to start making comments on things that I don't know nothing about. Okay? But what I do want to say is it was very tragic. That's sacred ground as far as I'm concerned, that people would break into there, destroy our nation's capital. It's horrible. It's a horrible time for our nation's country. Am I glad that I was able to go so that I could see the good parts of it? Yes. But I think it's important that I have this conference because, again, there are people that are saying things about me that are erroneous, and so I want to put that front and center. This is a photograph of myself that an individual pulled off of the internet. This is, I believe it was this last summer. I went to a news conference that Senator Jim Inhofe had here in Oklahoma City. I was called and asked by some people in Washington, D.C. if I would go to that press event in support of the senator. And I went to it, and this was a photograph that came from that. Matter of fact, while we were there that day, when the news event was over, which was on one topic, I asked some reporters to get together, and I asked the senator if he would stand with me. And I talked with the press in support of Senator Inhofe and talked about how much I appreciated his support of the MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush protection vehicles that were made available, and they helped protect the deputies with the sheriff's office. and the other people that are on our tactical team, because we can't afford to have armored vehicles. But because of the 1033 program that he supports, we were able to get equipment. So I pulled him over there and we talked about how he supports law enforcement. This is a photograph that was put out by the says KOCO5 News, persons of interest, and these are all people that are persons of interest, I guess, that they put out from D.C. of all these criminals. These are heinous criminals, okay, that broke into our nation's capital and desecrated that sacred ground, okay? They desecrated it. This individual right here at the very bottom is wearing a helmet, okay? It looks like a tactical helmet, okay? Well, there's a person that it's a citizen of this county, and I'm not going to name them because I have taken an oath, and I will respond to that individual. If there was a call right now and that person was in harm's way, I would bleed for that person today, right now. Okay? So I'm not going to call them out. But what that person did, I believe, is this was sent to a number of individuals, and it ended up with one of our district court judges who sent it to me. So this is the photo. This is it. That's a picture that was taken off the internet of me at Jim Inhofe's news event this summer. This is it right here. And this is the picture of the individual that was persons of interest that was put out from Washington, D.C. And then somebody's added some stuff on here, sedition, treason, and all that other kind of stuff. And this person is trying to implicate me. They're saying this is me. This is not me. This is not me. If they're looking for this person, and I don't know anything about this person. I've never seen him before. I clearly didn't see him in Washington, D.C., inside the building or doing anything. I don't have any idea who that is. But I want the citizens of Canadian County to know that that is not their sheriff. Their sheriff is a God-fearing, patriotic American. I served in the United States Marine Corps with extreme amount of patriotism and supporting the Constitution. 28 and a half years as a state trooper with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, protecting people's liberty, freedom, and it's very offensive that someone would say that. And it's based on political motivations. Like I said, there are people that certainly don't like me. They don't like my politics. They didn't like me being involved in the drive for 45s in support of Donald Trump this summer. They don't like me as the sheriff saying that I supported Donald Trump. And so people attack you, but that's their, I'll bleed today for them to make sure that they have the freedom to do that. Okay. Again, an individual put this out there saying that this is me. It's a Twitter account, CL West at CL West 156, and it starts off saying the traitorous Congress has to go home sometime, and then it goes on. That's not my Twitter account. Okay. That is not my Twitter account. I did have a Twitter account. I did have a Facebook page, but I deleted them both because of this kind of stuff. Because of the same reason that I didn't post anything or tell anybody I was going to D.C., because I've been married to a wonderful woman for almost 40 years, and I have children and I have grandchildren, and I wanted to protect them. But so I knew that at some point I was going to talk to all of y'all. But in keeping with my commitment to my wife, I didn't return any telephone calls until I got home. I got home at 4 o'clock this morning. And I got up and I called my newspaper man, Ray Dyer, here in town. We had a conversation. And so I felt compelled to do this. But again, I love this country. I think you all are a critical component of freedom and liberty. And I wanted to make sure that at least I knew from my personal experiences being there, it was a wonderful rally at Liberty Square. There were people from all over the country. I talked to immigrants that came from other countries that talked about their experiences traveling the world and living in oppressive countries and always hearing bad things about the United States. And then they came to the United States, and that wasn't their experience. And so they became citizens. They came to love this country, and they loved Donald Trump. That's why they were there. And so it was a wonderful time. There were I don't know what the total number was, hundreds of thousands. It was a sea of people that were singing the national anthem. They were praying. There was lots of communication between people. But again, I wanted to go so that I could have my own personal experience and not rely on, I've been doing this for a long time, okay, and I've been a media person, and I know that if it bleeds, it leads, and I know if there's violence and all that stuff, that overshadows the good stories, okay, but not just in the media. As a manager, as a sheriff, as a family member raising children, oftentimes we have a tendency to forget all the good and wonderful things and the bad things that happen in people, whether it's at work or at home. Sometimes those things tend to outshadow the positives. So I'm incensed about the things that went on that professionals will investigate. But I love this country. Regardless of what happens in Washington, D.C. and in the White House, we're going to continue to be good, patriotic Americans. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And that's I guess that's the end of my statement. I'll take some questions.
So when things started to get violent, where were you?
Okay, so what I believe, and again, I don't know when they got violent. Okay, so trying to follow the timeline, and then with the social media that was coming to all of us, I believe, and I don't know again because I'm not investigating it. I mean, I don't know when the violence happened, but I believe that we were actually down at Liberty Square and maybe on our way to the Capitol, because I believe all that stuff was going on before we ever left Liberty Square or before we got down there. Because, you know, I can't talk about where was I when the violence was going because I didn't see the violence. I don't know when it happened.
But you were on your way to the Capitol.
But I was there walking. Yeah, I walked with hundreds of thousands of people from Liberty Square after the president spoke and said, let's walk down to the Capitol. And so I walked down there amongst hundreds of thousands of people.
Did you at all at any point step foot in that Capitol?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Did you cross any police lines?
No.
Did you see anybody rioting?
No.
You didn't see any.
I was down looking up on the top, and there were, okay, so from where I was at looking up on the top, I could see the police that were having skirmishes with people that were up there.
And as a sheriff,
oh, I was hollering it. Yes. No, not there. I don't have any jurisdiction there. No, there was law enforcement professionals. I was Chris West, private citizen.
Right, but you still represent Oklahoma, and you're walking
Sure.
toward a Capitol that's a sacred building
Yeah.
where violent attacks are happening.
Right.
And you started to say you were following.
The only violence that I really was in any close proximity to was around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We were walking back to our hotel, and we encountered what I believe might have been some. I'm not going to name any names, but it was another protest group, and there was 2 or 3 individuals from both groups that there was some violence. There were some blows that were going back and forth, but we were trying to get away because we didn't want to become victims ourselves.
What was your intention on walking to the Capitol?
Walking to the Capitol just to go down there and be patriotic with all the other fellow Americans that love this country and support freedom. And there's a lot of people that don't agree on the outcome. They want, people talk about free and fair elections. They have concerns, so they were just down there doing that. So it was just to go down there and to see and observe it. When you talk. Pardon me?
You kind of talked about it, but what was your intention of going to D.C. in the first place?
Was to go and see it firsthand so I could have a firsthand account.
And support the president.
And support the president, right.
You did this on your personal time, but you had a ticket to take your county sheriff's vehicle?
No, I did not.
Do you regret going now?
Absolutely not.
Do you still support the president?
Sure I do.
Even after his statement directly before?
I didn't agree with all of the other presidents before him, whether it's Barack Obama or whoever, but I supported them as the president. I may not have agreed with their policies.
You started to say you started to follow
little bit ago. You said I was hollering. What were you hollering at people to stop? Like, did you reach the Capitol when you say you were hollering?
No. Just, we were hollering about Trump. We love Trump. Stuff like that.
Did you reach the Capitol steps? Like, did you get there?
I got down to the there's a big statue, and there were people that were on top of it waving flags, and so I took a photograph of that, and I think it's one that I sent to Ray.
Can we have it?
Sure, I'll make it available. But the reason I took a picture of that is because, in contrast to the riots that we've seen and how they've attacked statues and tore them down, it was in direct contrast to that. It was freedom-loving Americans that were up there waving the flags and being patriotic. Pardon me?
There's an online petition calling for your resignation.
Right.
Do you have a response to that?
It's preposterous. And again, like I said, I know there are people that don't support me. I think it's just politics. I believe it's politics.
Some pro-Trump supporters are saying it was Antifa, where it's been investigated. It's not. What do you think?
I'm not going to go there because I'm not investigating it. I don't have enough
Did you bring
information.
your posse when you went?
Did I what?
Did you bring your group that you created over the summer?
No, absolutely not.
Did you drive or fly?
I drove my personal vehicle.
Approximately, what
Right.
time did you leave Capitol?
Around 3:30 or 4.
So you were present as they were smoking?
Yeah, I was down
You said
there.
you didn't see any of it? Like, what do you mean? Like, elaborate.
Okay, all these people on these crimes, I didn't see any of this. I didn't break in the Capitol. I didn't cause any damage to the Capitol. I didn't participate in a riot. I was there as a patriotic American.
What were you doing the 4 hours you were there?
Well, I mean, that's a huge question. I just told you what I did. I was there to support President Trump and Americans and just to watch it.
So were you saying you're so far away that you couldn't see it, or what? Like, because it was clear as day.
Okay, I've seen videos, probably like much of you, of skirmishes with the law enforcement. I can't tell you. I mean, I didn't see that. I wasn't there. That wasn't part of my experience. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Stop the steal chant? Stop the steal?
Yes.
You chanted that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm a Trump supporter.
You're right.
I'm a Trump supporter.
Do you consider the display at the Capitol a riot?
The display. There was. I saw from the distance. I could see. I don't know if it was smoke or if it was tear gas. I will tell you this. I did see individuals that were leaving there that looked like they could have been bad actors. There were people there that moved through the crowd that looked like they had shoulder pads and vests on and the helmets like this guy has on. There was a couple of people that you saw running through the crowds that their faces were red. They were saying had been tear gassed. So as a reasonable individual, I'm thinking they were probably up there dealing with the law enforcement and they probably got tear gassed, okay? But I'm telling you, the vast, overwhelming majority, I mean, like 99.9% of the people were patriotic, good Americans, So do I believe that bad actors were there and they did bad things? Yes, I believe that. But I can't with any amount or degree of knowledge speak on that.
Sheriff, did you see anyone attacking any of the Capitol Police that were trying to keep people off the steps at the beginning there?
No. I've seen the video. Okay, now remember I said we were down at Liberty Square, and I believe a lot of that. I mean, I don't know. I've just kind of tried to work it out in my own mind, the timeline, because people were saying there were a lot of people that were also at the Capitol. So I'm trying to work it out in my mind when that took place, and I think all that happened before everybody got down there, the hundreds of thousands that were at Liberty Square. Okay, so, but I've seen video where it looked like the law enforcement even opened it up and let them in, but I don't know. I can tell you what it looks like. I don't know if that's what happened. You know, we need to let the professionals deal with that.
You know, some people call it insurrection. Would you call it that?
And again, we'll let them make those calls. I went from my own personal experience. I think it's horrific that crimes occurred, that people died, horrific, that law enforcement was injured. Yeah, I've heard that. It's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. I rebuke it, every bit of it.
From your experience, would you be willing to say that these folks were from the Trump rally and a lot of them were Trump supporters?
Now, which people are you talking about?
I'm talking the folks that went inside that Capitol.
I can't speak to that with any degree of certainty, so I don't want to speculate. I don't want to speculate. If they committed acts that meet what those definitions are, but again, I'm not the person that has the knowledge. I mean, I have full trust and confidence in our people that are in positions to make those determinations.
And what are your thoughts on the Confederate flag for the first time in the United States history being paraded through the halls of the Capitol?
Again, it's a crime, you know, to break into. I mean, what they did was a crime. They penetrated. They broke into the Capitol. If somebody broke into this sheriff's office, if I had it secured, and I have people that work in there 24/7, if somebody breaks into there, it's a crime. And as far as I'm concerned, they're trying to harm my people that are in there, and we're going to have to defend them.
So if there was a mob outside the sheriff's department right now, and say someone's across the street that these people break in, should they all have to be held accountable?
People that penetrated it, sure, yes.
But the crowd itself.
Pardon me?
The crowd itself, you wouldn't give them any sort of responsibility.
Only the bad actors. I mean, people have First Amendment rights to free speech and to assemble peacefully. So,
never crossed any police lines.
Pardon me?
Never crossed any.
No. I never breached any. No, that was not me, and that was another thing. You know, I got that, and they said it was me. That absolutely was not me. I carried a Trump flag.
Carried a Trump flag.
Yeah.
So you carried a Trump flag? Sorry, you were carrying a Trump flag?
I carried a Trump flag.
And were you wearing a Make America Great Again hat?
Yeah.
Were you armed?
No.
Not armed?
No.
So you denounced the people that were inside of the Capitol, but you can't come out and say that those people were Trump supporters. Clearly, they've been investigated.
Okay, so here's the deal. Just because you have some memorabilia on doesn't mean that you are. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want to get involved in speculating. I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't have the information to make that decision. They may have had something on that said Trump, but does that mean they're a Trump supporter? I don't know.
But that's speculation, is what you're saying right there.
And I don't. That's why I don't want to speculate if they were, if they weren't.
When did you deactivate your Facebook account?
I don't remember exactly the day.
Do you know like a time period?
No, I really. No. It was while I was in D.C.
Why did you?
Right. And again, it was out of concern for my family.
And you hadn't promoted the rally in any sort of way?
Pardon me?
You hadn't promoted the rally and notified people?
No, I stayed off of it. I stayed off of it because my wife didn't want anybody to know that I was going. And she said, don't post anything until you get back. And so I didn't return any phone calls, like I said earlier, until I got back, and then I called Ray.
Christmas Day, saddle up, we're going to D.C.
I might have said that, yes.
Which is your...
No. I don't know. I don't think that in any of them I specifically said that I was going, but I may have said stuff to other Trump supporters about going, because I was trying to be careful about not going. People knowing that I was going for my wife's safety. Yes.
Were you going at all against the electoral vote?
Against the electoral vote?
Were you going to support Trump because you believe?
I was going to support Trump, and I'll leave it at that. All right, I think I've just about covered everything that I've got, so thank you all for coming today.